Hey everyone, welcome back to my second installment of my three-part series, New Light to Legend. I hope everyone's enjoying the new season of the Dawn and their new subclasses. I know I'm loving these precision knife kills. I assume you've watched my first video about the importance of having the correct mindset when learning Crucible and Comp. If not, there will be a link in the description below to the mindset video. This video is about gearing up for success, covering loadouts that complement your playstyle, and finding teammates emphasizing on communication, adaptability, and consistency. So when I transitioned into Destiny, I absolutely fell in love with the bow. This is something about in Destiny. Bungie did a really good job with bows. I racked up about 1,000 kills with my bow in Crucible in about a week. So in the middle of the season, I got to about 4k in freelance with a bow and mountaintop or bow and Ariana Val combo quite casually. But unfortunately, bows are not as meta as some other weapons. Don't get me wrong, you can definitely hit legend with a bow, but it'll be harder. 2 weeks from the end of the season, I felt like I had enough strings on my bow to make a reasonable push to legend. Get it? Strings on a bow, bow main. I'm sorry. Anyway, if I was going to make a serious push at my current skill level, I had to retire the bow. But what weapon should I pick up that has a similar playstyle to bows, but more utility? Pulse rifles. Pulse rifles still use similar lanes as a bow, so I didn't have to change my playstyle too much. Rewards you for good aim, and is better in close encounters than a bow. Naturally, I paired it with a sniper because at this point, I still wasn't comfortable with a shotty. The playstyle I have is more of a laning and securing crucial objectives and sightlines, as opposed to close quarter fights with the shotgun, which requires a lot of movement, which I admit, I have not mastered. Ideally, your loadout can cover 2 of the 3 ranges, of short, medium, and long. Your playstyle, positioning, and team should make up for the 3rd. Let's take a quick look at my default loadout. I either run Bygones with Apostate, or I will run Outlast with Revoker. I have a few other comfort guns that can be switched out depending on the map, being my Mountaintop and my Irritop. And if it comes to it, I can also put on my Mindbender's Ambition or my Lord of Wolves. My default loadout, being a pulse rifle and a sniper, covers my medium and long range. I support team pushes from the back and secure lanes and objectives, but I fall short in close range encounters. To make up for this, I use Arc Battery, and my Apostate has Quick Draw for a quick body plus melee kill. Arc Battery can now be replaced with Void Battery or the new Hunter Exotic Bombardiers. That was all the weapons I used. This made my choice easy and fast. Was able to swap to the correct weapons and mods before the match started. Clear everything else in your inventory out. You're better off playing a loadout you're more comfortable with and learning to deal with its shortcomings, rather than trying to make a last minute change to a loadout you're not good at, with none of the correct mods. Remember Brian? He tried to make a mid-round switch to a shotgun. We lost the round because he was busy swapping weapons. He ended up dying more than Krillin in Dragon Ball that game. All that being said though, you should definitely learn more than one loadout that can deal with different ranges and different types of opponents, which is what I'll be doing in the future. Since the start of the new season, I have now picked up hand cannons as a comfort pick, but I have still yet to work on the shotgun. For newer players like me, I do recommend a bit of range, because if you're trying to force a close encounter with a shotgun or SMG at the wrong time or position, it could result to you feeding. Okay, so now you have your loadout and you've identified your playstyle. You now need to find some like-minded individuals with a positive mental attitude to join your fire team, which smoothly transitions me to finding the right teammates. Quick disclaimer though, finding the right teammates doesn't mean searching through LFG until you find 2 people to carry you. I played with multiple groups on my way to Legend. Groups that could only run Recluse Shotgun, groups that could only snipe, and groups that had no tactical knack. You're going to find some good teammates, and you'll definitely find some bad ones. The only person in the team you have absolute control of is yourself, so make sure you're a good teammate. The 4 things I'm about to list here, you should reflect on yourself too. First thing you need to tick off when finding a new teammate is, can they communicate? Are they able to call out what they're doing without overflooding your comms talking about his pet goldfish? The second thing I look for in a teammate is a positive mental attitude. Nothing worse than a teammate tilting your whole fire team after 3 losses. Thirdly, are they adaptable? This means their loadouts and their playstyle adjusting to the map and the enemy team. Lastly, are they consistent? Consistency is the key for obtaining those win streaks and getting to the higher ranks. Communication. There are many videos on communication, so I'm just going to touch on it. If you're playing seriously, then keep chatter to a minimum. I turn off all music so I can hear every footstep, reload, jump, and gunshot. Remember what I said about counting last word shots? You can also do the same with sniper and shotgun shots. You can't do that if comms are being flooded. If you're doing something out of the norm, like flanking, say, I'm flanking to the right, be ready to engage. Flanking is a great playstyle to net yourself a few easy kills. If the enemies are engaged in a gunfight, ADSing with no radar and was preoccupied and didn't hear a hunter go invis and go behind them, and bam, you got yourself a free round. But an uncoordinated flank can easily be turned into a 3v1, which leads to feeding. If you plan on using your super to push heavy or secure high ground or countering an enemy super, say it. Blowing 2 supers at the same time is equivalent to throwing a game when you are equally matched. Call out low health enemies and important cooldowns. Warlock is red bar, no handheld, push him. That's all I'm going to say about communication. It is super important, but it's something that needs to be practiced like your mechanics, and it varies with every group. Having a positive mental attitude. Having a PMA is important when doing activities like comp. It can be very tilting to play. For many of us, this is going to be a grind. Accept it. Have fun with it. Being in a positive mindset when playing will make the grind more enjoyable. Sighing at your teammates, yelling into the mic when you get shoulder charged is just going to tilt yourself and your teammates and will not make you play any better. At the end of the game, say, what could we have done better? Feel free to point out anything I could be doing better or I did wrong. This lets your teammates reflect on the loss, and importantly, lets any pent-up frustrations that your teammates has on yourself come out in a positive, constructive manner. This lets them feel like they've been heard, lowers any frustration they have on you, and improve as a whole team. Being adaptable. So normally in Overwatch, I absolutely despise the one-tricks. Players who can only play one hero, or in Destiny's case, one loadout. Are they still using a hand cannon and a shotgun in Widow's Court? I am semi in this boat. I default to pulse rifle and sniper, but I've been working on getting good with hand cannon and shotgun. Being flexible based on the map, teammates' loadouts, and enemy loadouts can often net you a win. At the start of every game, consider which map you're playing and inspect all the enemy players. If they have 3 shotguns, maybe consider playing in the open a little bit more and holding a wider corner than you usually would. Best example from my comp games was when we got absolutely dumpstered by the sniper. He solo carried the first game we played against him, we queued up again, and there he was. My teammate Tomato, a much more seasoned vet than I, had the great idea of pulling out from collections a Season 1 Better Devils with explosive payload on it. The genius behind this is that explosive payload flinches you twice, once on initial impact and another a fraction of a second later when the bullet explodes. He would get to the sniping lane first and just pre-fire the sniping position, so he would get constantly flinched, which let me land easy snipes on him. He would eventually stop going to the sniping lane, but then the enemy team didn't have the same amount of control as they had in the previous game. We forced him out of his comfort playstyle and couldn't carry anymore. His teammates couldn't keep up and we proceeded to take the game 4-1. Be that teammate. Be a tomato. Shutting down a carry on their team is as important as carrying yourself. After that game, I saw the importance of being flexible and how you can easily shut down a carry on the enemy team. At the time of that game, I only had one comfortable loadout, which was Outlast and Revoker. I then picked up my Bygones, which had high caliber rounds on it for the extra flinch. Consistency. The way the glory system works in Destiny 2 heavily favors players that can maintain a streak. The key to maintaining a streak is to be consistent. Look at your scoreboard every game. Is my KDA always above 1.5? Am I dying the most in my team? How is the damage compared to the other 5 players? I played with someone who uses the typical pub stomp build of one-eyed mask, recluse, and a sniper or shotty. When he carries, like a 3+ KDA, but when he feeds, he also feeds really hard. He was a good player, don't get me wrong, but he was unable to adapt. His only strat was to go in, and if the enemy team couldn't deal with his recluse OEM, then yeah, he stomped them. But when they could, he wasn't able to adapt and he fed. He was stuck in the I must carry so I must go in mindset, which I'm sure you know someone like that. I've been in that mindset myself. Unfortunately, those sorts of teammates will not help you climb. You lose 2 points on your streak when you lose and only gain 1 when you win. If you're constantly winning one and then losing another, you'll end up dropping glory at higher ranks. I'll link the screenshot that you see on the screen now that has to do with the glory gains and losses at different ranks. I'd rather take a teammate that has a constant 1.5 KDA and doesn't feed than someone who does 3.5 one game and then 0.8 in another. That wraps it up for this video. Today we've covered identifying your playstyle and finding a loadout that complements it, finding good teammates and becoming a good teammate yourself by communicating, having a positive mental attitude, being adaptable, and being consistent. My next video will be covering the comp strats I've developed over the season and how you can abuse these tactics to get free rounds and games. And here comes the plug! If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and hit the bell. As a new content developer, this helps me a lot to get my videos out there. You can also check me out at my Twitch at twitch.tv/sushitoyota with 2 E's instead of the I. And I'll see you in my next video. Comp strats.